This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning the halachos of Meichalois Asurais. Wrapping up Simin Mem Vav in the Kitzur, we pick it up from Sif Mem Aleph. Says the Kitzur Lepamim Nimsa Beperes Mirukacham B'Dvash V'Tzukar. We find in fruits that are preserved with honey and sugar, Shishamalos Havivakli Milbin, that there's some milbin, there's some mites around the top of the container above the fruit. Yinaku Oisoy Hativ. You got to clean that well, and remove some of the food. Until you're absolutely sure that there's no mites left in the food. And you cut a fruit or a radish with a knife. And the fact that there's a worm in there, no. But you cut through the worm. You got to clean off the knife. You have to cut off a little bit from the place because now it becomes unkosher. So you have to cut off a little bit where the knife cut. There are worms in the fish. In the brain, liver, intestines, mouth, or gills. Have it. Pikefish. Long, tiny worms. And where they're common, you got to be careful. Herring. In the milky liquid, there are tiny worms. On the fish on the exterior near the fins, behind the gills, very small insects, and around the lentils. You got to check properly and scrape them off. Wormy cheese. If one is not disgusted, mutarim. And note 90 points out, so that is generally repulsive, is prohibited even one who is not repulsed. The small worms in cheese are not considered repulsive. Again, this is place and time subjective. Calls mashal perishally kamri as long as they have not fully left the cheese. But once they left the cheese, then they become aser, and then it's a big machloikas. So again, wormy cheese, a little bit of a fascinating entity, but let's move on. Many prohibitions as harois regarding consuming shratzim, vermin, tamis and nefesh, very careful, slowly catch them not to stumble with these shratzim. And finally, one who's not sure asks a shayla. You're not allowed to ask another Rav. Elim Kain, unless you tell him that the first Rav said it was Aser, then you could ask another Shayla. And this is a complicated sugya of what do we say? When do we say Kvar Hayra Zakein? When do we not? No 92 gets involved a little bit, but that's the end of Machalis Asurais. For now, we move on to Simin Mem Zayin. Yayin Nesech. Says the Kitzur Stam Yainam. Nowadays, or if a guy touches our wine, some say only can't drink it, not in our benefit. You're allowed to collect as a debt. Stam Yainam. Why? They have because you're saving it. Because you never know if they're actually going to pay you what you owe them, and if they're paying you something, you take it and run. But again, that's only the fee, the shita, that is not also banaya. Someone went and bought wine from a guy, he doesn't have to throw it out. You could benefit to sell someone else. You're not allowed to buy it to profit. This is a very common case. Someone gets wine as a gift. What's he allowed to do with it? So we're seeing over here to open up a wine store. That's l'chayr, not l'chatchila bechlal to listaker. You want to know? You got it. Do you have to take a loss? It sounds from the Kitzur amongst other paiskim. There's a makkah to be kula, but there's a tavel of bracha for one who is machmir. Siv beis mutal asis merchatz v'saminim. You're allowed to make a therapeutic bath with wine of the goyim l'chayla shem by saikana. Because nowadays, note 7 points out, we're a bit more makel on the goyim nowadays. They're not oivdi of a desire mamish, and therefore for a chayla yesh makoim lahakil. Yain kosher and it's bashel siv gimel yain mavoshel dan isher tiach. It was heated, and it lessened a little bit. Note 8 points out, according to Moshe, had to get to 175 Fahrenheit, but it had to have been missing a little bit. And this is really a world war, because nowadays all our wines are not really cooked, but rather the flash pasteurized or they're just pasteurized. And even if they get up to that heat, there's really no miyut, nothing is lacking, and that's why many Gedolei HaPaiskim, fascinating to note, hold that yayin mavushal is not a heter. And it's good to know why, because sometimes the guy, it's mavushal, and you'll let the guy pour it. According to many shitas, it's a problem, so why not pour it yourself? Wine to which worm herb is added, kol sheshem yayin alav, it is asar. Sif dalet tavshil. We have a food. Sheyayin murabah that has wine in it. The wine is not discernible. Philodayin lo yitiach if it's not boiled. Einon eser b'maga akum. Because the guy does not know that there is wine there. This could be relevant. You're making a marinade for meat and there's wine in it. The guy doesn't know if they move it. It is not a problem. Yayin mazik siv hey. Diluted wine. Shisha chalak yamayim bottle yayin. Einon eser b'maga akum. Aval yayin tzimukim raisin wine. Dahin shenasa mayim al tzimukim ayarei zekyayin gamur. Sif vav atemed. And amayim shenes vel chartin vel shmarim. Water that's poured onto the grape seeds or leaves. Kol shum shubach l'shdiya. As long as it is good to drink, it's considered wine, and we cannot be makel if a guy touched it. Finally, grapes that are pressed in a vat. The moment that a little bit of wine is drawn forth, or one drew a little bit of wine, it all has a din of yain. And at that moment it becomes a aser. If he only touched the peels and the seeds, that's a pressed grapes that are standing in the house of the guy. Why? Because maybe the guy drew a little wine for him. Even a plugged up vat, we'll pick it up from Sifchas in the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.